is presented when we allow race, gender, and ethnic bias to be the lens through which we see and engage one another is critically important. But it's not enough to just become more informed. We have to actually use the information and use it in a way that will positively impact us all. And so my goal tonight, as we share this time together, is to inspire you to continue doing just that. In my preparation for tonight, I quickly realized two things. One, that there's going to be a lot of successful people in this room. More specifically, a lot of successful lawyers in this room. And the reason why that's important, or would be important to me, especially now having a lawyer in my family, I know quite a bit about lawyers, and something specific pertaining to tonight is, if nothing else, with lawyers, no matter what you have to say, one, make it quick, and two, it better make sense. And so I plan to do that. But also, I realized that in the 32 years of you hosting this event prior to me being here with you tonight, you've likely had a number of great orators and experts to share their knowledge on the topic. And so when I thought about what I might be able to add to the conversation, the only thing that really made sense was me and my experiences. And so I plan to share those with you, and through me sharing my experiences, you'll get a glimpse or get an understanding as to why I even got into this work. And so, that said, if you don't mind, I want to play a little game. Is that okay? Yeah. All right, okay. You probably played this game before. I'm sure you have. It's two truths and a lie. Right. Played that before? Oh, yeah. All right, for those who may not have played two truths and a lie, it's pretty simple. I'm going to make three statements, okay? And essentially, you need to identify, or throughout my talk with you, I want to see if you can identify what is a lie and what is true, okay? You got it?
Yeah. Got it.
All right. Three statements. Statement number one. I was a victim of gun violence. Okay. Statement number two. When I was young, I almost took my own life. And three, I really like fruit snacks. Got them?
Yeah.
All right. On September 27th of 1997, I was shot in the face at point blank range. I had just transferred from Eastern Michigan to Wayne State University as a student athlete. I was on the football team. And also that year, I had just recently crossed my fraternity, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. All right. The night of this incident, went to an off-campus party. It was the weekend of our homecoming. And back then, and even still today, actually, I'm kind of a jokester. I see something and I'm going to tell a joke about it, especially when I'm around my friends, all right? And myself and a lot of the guys on the football team, we decided to go to this party, this off-campus party, which was hosted by another organization. We get to the party, and it's maybe like 5 or 6 people there. And so I had to go in. I said, man, y'all been advertising for this party for months, and you don't have enough people in here to start a rumor. Like, where's the crowd? Like, where's the party, right? And so I'm going in from top to bottom for at least 15, 20 minutes. And some of the guys didn't like it. And so I kind of got into a little scuffle with a few guys that got broken up. But fast forward a little bit later into the night, and I'm dancing with a young lady, and a young man came up to me. He said, there's some entertainment on the second level. And so, you know, I didn't go up right away, but I decided to go and check it out, see what was going on. When I got to the top of the stairs, there was a table, and seated at the table were two gentlemen they hired to be security. And one of them said, $20. I'm paying $20, I'll pay $20 to get in. I said, okay, I'll wait. I'll wait for my friend who was a part of this other organization that was hosting. And so I stood there for a few minutes, and the stairwell was about this narrow, not very wide at all, right? And so eventually one of the young men said, look, you gotta go downstairs. And I said, I can't see anything, you got the doors closed, I'm good. I'm standing here waiting for my friend. He said, no, you have to go downstairs. And he reached out for me, and I slapped his hand. He said, well, it's like that. Yes, it's like that. So he moved the table, and we started tussling. I stumbled down to about midway down the stairs and walked the rest of the way. We were in an area about this big. There was a kitchen here and a side door here. And I'm arguing. One of the guys hits me again, and we start to fight. It's me and maybe 4 others. I don't know where all the rest of the guys on the football team. I'm actually happy none of them were in this area. The guys pushed me, because it's just me and them, out of this side door. That would have been a great time to just go home with me. It's not what I did. I was 20, I had just turned 20. I was young and dumb. I walked around the house, went through the front door, through the living room, through the kitchen, got back in that area and hit one of the guys again and started fighting more. Out of nowhere, one of them said, you're still trying to be tough. You don't see all of these guns on you? And I looked this way, and there was a gun pointed right at my head. It's a good time to give up. And so I did. I went down to my knees, and I put my palms up like this and my head down, as if to surrender. Next thing I saw was a light flash off the floor, and my face jerked. Thought he had punched me. Until I tried to get up, and he shot again and grazed me in my forearm. Of course, I had been drinking, and so I really didn't feel much of any of this. I fell to the floor, and apparently I was still moving around, because the last words I heard over the crowd running was, oh, you're still moving. And he grazed me in the back of the head. Needless to say, this event was very life-changing for me, but for a number of reasons. Because they thought that it was a gang situation, the ambulance didn't come right away. I had to ride to Receiving Hospital in the back of a police car. When they wheeled me in, to give you an idea of how wild I was laying on the gurney like this. It's my fraternity son, see? And as wild as that may seem, I actually believe that it saved my life, because when I first got to the hospital, you know, they rushed me in, did a little bit, but eventually I was wheeled into a hallway, and I laid there for I don't know how long. But a gentleman just so happened to be walking down the hallway, and he saw me laying there, and he whispered something into my ear that only someone from my fraternity would know. I started crying immediately. I said, please don't leave me. He said, I won't, I got you. That gentleman, who was in his 3rd year of his residency, some of you may know him, his name is Dr. Reginald E. He later became the president of Receiving Hospital. But this gentleman, who hadn't seen me one day before that day, who I didn't know, not only operated on me and removed the one bullet that entered my face, but he called my mom and called all of my friends who came down to the hospital. Fast forward, the day after getting all these visitors, one of them asked me what did I want to do, because of course, you know, friends and family, they're upset, they may want to see some type of retaliation, and I said absolutely nothing. And the reason for that was, no matter what people may say in music You may hear some people who glorify shooting. There's nothing glorious about it. We as humans are not meant to be shot. It is the most dehumanizing feeling that anyone could experience, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I had a decision to make laying in that hospital, and that decision was to either continue to be a liability or to become an asset to my community. And I decided to become an asset. And the reason for that was because in my reflection, I realized that I had changed. I changed because I wasn't always a jokester. As a matter of fact, I can remember specifically when I was in elementary school, all I really wanted to do was just make friends. I just wanted to make friends and get gold stars and, be happy. But somewhere around 4th or 5th grade, my image became important to other people, and I was introduced to the fact that there's a lot of irony in my last name and the way I look. You can laugh, it's okay. I laugh at myself all the time. As a matter of fact, I tell more jokes about myself than anyone. I've heard every joke that you can think of, fortunately and unfortunately. And I think it's important now knowing how to laugh at myself, but back then I didn't know how to the point where it really impacted me when I was younger. There was this one day in particular that the jokes were coming so fast that I just got up out of my seat in the 5th grade, grabbed my coat out of the coat closet and walked out the door and walked home. No one saw. And I went directly to my house. My mom, I knew she would be at work. And I went into her top drawer because being nosy, being a kid, you look for stuff that you don't even know that you will find. And I knew that she had a firearm. And so that day at 9 years old, I stood in the mirror for, I believe, a couple of hours, thinking about letting go because I hated the way that I looked. The only thing that stopped me was the idea of my mother finding me. And she didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve to lose me over something that someone else had done and the way other people made me feel. And so it was that day, while I was standing in that mirror, I gave myself 2 promises. I made 2 promises to myself. I said, 1, I'm going to have $1 for every tear that I've cried. And 2, I'm going to make sure that anyone that I meet, when I come across those people, they're going to know that they matter. Forgot about that along the way. Having bias in and of itself is not a bad thing. In fact, it's very natural that we as humans develop preconceived ideas about our environments and even the people that we engage. Dr. John Bowlby, the father of attachment theory, refers to this as our working model. A more common way to describe it would be our worldview. It's through this view, influenced by our experiences and the information we consume, that we develop adaptive behaviors. And we unconsciously use these behaviors in part to regain a sense of safety in moments of distress. I lost sight of my goal of making people feel as if they matter by becoming the thing that I despised. Instead of continuing to be a verbal punching bag, I learned how to hit back, which would have been fine as an adaptive strategy had I only directed that energy towards those that offended me. But the problem in my case and in many others is that what starts as an adaptive behavior can quickly become a maladaptive behavior when we see and engage the world through the lens of our traumas or limited views only, rather than allowing space for new information. Because it is that new information, what we actually see and experience in the present, that helps us to limit our biases and to make fully informed decisions. If before taking this podium and hearing me speak, you saw me through the lens and narrative that most black men come from fatherless homes, grew up around drugs, have violence in their past, on the surface, you would have been absolutely correct. But if you stop there, and I never had the chance to share the pages hidden within the book of this flesh, you would have completely missed the fact that those things do not define me. And from the time I was a kid, I knew that I could and wanted to achieve more. I just needed someone that was willing to help me to do it and to know that it was possible. And after 20 years of doing this work, I can tell you, as fact, it's a lot of kids and people in general out there who feel the same way. Putting the pandemic aside, which affects us all, or has affected us all, the CDC reports that more than 70% of adults have experienced some form of trauma. 1 in 4 children experience maltreatment. 1 in 4 women experience domestic violence. 1 in 5 women and 1 in 71 men have been sexually assaulted. Author and inspirational speaker, the late great Zig Ziglar, once said, and this is one of my favorite quotes: if you treat everyone as if they are secretly hurting, in the vast majority of instances, you will have treated them in a proper manner. I'm sure you realize, of course, from my story, that it is true. I was a victim of gun violence, and that I nearly took my life at a young age at the age of 9. But I have to confess, the actual lie was that there were only 2 truths, because I do really like cooking. Without having met most of you prior to tonight, I can say with full confidence that at some point you saw the path of success and you achieved it. Whether you came from a family of means that has a rich history of achievement, whether you are the product of hard-working middle-class parents who had a vision for your family's name, or if by your own hand, will, and self-determination, you consciously made the decision to be great. You've done it. You are a success, and you deserve recognition for that. Give yourselves a round of applause, please. But as I leave you tonight, my challenge to you is this: don't stop there. Because I firmly believe that in the space that exists beyond success, we are able to not only properly engage those who may have suffered a trauma injury, but we also take the incredible leap towards eradicating maladaptive biases. What's that next step? Beyond success, you may be asking yourself. I'll share it in this quick story. There's a gentleman named John who was really successful. I mean, to the point where John, pretty much anything he tried to do, he succeeded at it. And he grew up very successful in his craft. But along the way, he started to feel empty. And in his emptiness, he really didn't understand how he could basically do everything that he chose to do, whether it was financially or just whatever. He just was able to do it. So he started to seek counsel from his mentors or from other friends to ask, how do I fill this void, or why do I even feel this way? No one could give him an answer. One day he fell asleep, deep sleep, and he started to dream. In his dream, he was greeted by an angel. Angel said, "John, you have been searching for this answer to fill this void." He said, "I have." She said, "I got you." She clapped her hands. Immediately, 2 doors appeared. The angel escorted John into the door on the left. And as soon as the door opened, bam! He was greeted by the best aroma you can imagine. And when he opened his eyes, he saw a table, a banquet table, miles long, with people seated at it, and every exotic food in this world that you can imagine from every culture. John said, "Man, this is amazing." Angel said, "Look close." And John started to notice that the people seated at the table with all of this food in front of them were quiet. No one was talking, no one was laughing, no one was even eating. They were just sitting there. He said, "I don't understand." She said, "Follow me." She escorted him over into the next room, and sure enough, the exact same scene. The difference in this room, though, was that all of the people at the table were not only laughing and having a great time and eating, but they seemed to be just loving life. And the angel escorted John back out into the hall area, and John looked at her with all types of confusion. Said, "Wait, it was the exact same setup in both rooms. What was the difference?" The angel said, "John, if you noticed, the people seated at the table in each room had a fork and a knife strapped to their arms, both 4 feet in length. In the first room, the people were trying to feed themselves and couldn't. That was the room of success. But in the second room, everyone was feeding the person directly across from them, and they in turn were feeding them. That's the room of significance. I found in my life and in this work that you can have all of this success in the world, but if you aren't significant, you will not be fulfilled. And I've also found and learned that you find that significance by helping other people get what they need. Thank you all.
Amen.